Oh, I thought I hit go live.
Are we live? Okay.
I thought I hit go live. Oh,
Now
there
we
we go.
now we going. There we
Now we're live.
there we go.
What's up? What's up? What's up with you?
What up with it? Well, how about you? Hey,
Did you
big,
get
how
some
about you?
rest?
Yeah, that's so Alabama. How about you, big dog?
Underarm Alabama, as Lord say. Underarm Alabama.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's where I'm from. How you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I got a lot of rest yesterday.
You got to go lay down, yeah, because you
Yeah.
went on when I woke back up.
Yeah. I fell asleep to G Spots live um
Oh, okay.
last night. And there was some guy on there arguing with her about 2 + 2 = 4, trying to get her to accept the scriptures as objective truth. Yeah. And I wanted to get up so bad, but my body wouldn't move.
Are we
So
okay?
I
Are we okay, guys?
don't think so. But she handled it. When I woke back up, she was going off on them. So she handled it well.
Good, good. Yeah, yeah. One day we're gonna really discuss what the word objective means.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. But I'm kind of excited about today. Um, 10 seems like a boring chapter, but it is the cause of much controversy in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. All the nations and the
yeah.
genealogies
Take
and everybody
take the
wanting to
next.
be these Israelites.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody wants to be an Israelite. Um, yeah, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Um, yeah,
What's
you
up to
ready?
the nerdy fishtons in the house?
One time for the nerdy fishes, man.
Bloop bloop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe we should call you guys the School of Fish.
Yeah, the school of fish. I like that.
Yeah, the School of
Instead
Fish.
of school of thought, the school of fish.
Yeah, fish travel in schools. That's actually what you call a pack of fish is a school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you ready? You wanna I think I'm a well, I can't pull it up because I don't want to get frozen again. But I
Okay,
think I didn't make an announcement in the Discord to let them know that we were live.
I
I
didn't
don't
either.
know. Okay.
I didn't either.
Are
But you
you
know what?
able to?
Let me see if I can do one real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Or if Fee, I think Fee, if one of the school of fish could put in the Discord to let everybody know that we live. I forgot to do that. I was
I did
running.
too. I was trying to get on here. I can do it real quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
School of thinkers. Thank him. Thank her.
Thank him. Thank her is crazy.
One, two. What is it? One fish, two fish. Bloop bloop. That did not work.
It's
That did not work at all.
okay. It's all right. We can work on it. This is how we get things going. All right. Boom. I've made that. I told them that we were live. I don't have the link though. Let's see. I guess. Oh, yeah, I could get
I
it
put
right
it
here.
in the Discord, like the link to I put it in your verses and vibes channel.
Okay. It's in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me
So I'll
go
link
to
to
there.
that.
Let me go real quick and go there and post it. I'm gonna post it on the general page just in case somebody's looking on the general
Okay.
page. And
What's up,
sometimes
Daya? What's up, TT? Hey, D'Amico. What's up with you?
how about you, big dog? How about you? All right. Boom. All right. And oh, we're rolling now. We are rolling.
Mhm.
All right. So you want to read chapter 10?
Yup. Let's get to it.
Let's do it.
All right. So this, hold on. Let me see if I can screen share. Hopefully, it does not um mess with my screen and I don't freeze. All right. Can y'all see that?
Yeah. See it?
And I'm not frozen.
Move your head. Move your hand or something. Yeah. Yeah. I see you still. You move.
All right. Go, 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 go.
Now
All right.
I'm about to make a new TikTok page called Thinker's Head Knot.
That was cringe as fuck, but like y'all don't laugh at me when y'all see me dance in Florida because I'm getting old. And I was telling my daughter the other day because we were celebrating her birthday, and during her photo shoot they had the music blasting and I was dancing and I was like just moving like this. And she made a joke about how old people can only move so far.
Mhm. True,
So don't laugh. Um,
true.
yeah, it's gonna be a different type of dancing in Florida, but I swear I'm gonna do what I can.
Hey, that's all we can do.
Yeah. All right. So this is the table of nations, y'all. Right before we get to the famous story of the Tower of Babel, this is leading into the what the belief is with the Tower of Babel and the people that were spread out. But after last week, we covered Noah and the flood and them 8 people existing after the flood, and these are the people that's responsible for sin coming back.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the account of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's sons, who themselves had sons after the flood. The Japhethites, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan or Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riptha, and Torgama. The sons of Javan, Elisha,
Mhm.
Tarshish, the Kittites, and the Rodanites. Sound like rodents. The
Yeah.
Rodanites. From these, the maritime people spread out into their territories by their clans within their nations, each with its own language.
Now notice
Yeah.
here they already have their own languages. Just keep that in mind,
Exactly.
right? They already got their own languages,
Yeah.
and this is the first time you'll ever see the word Gentiles if you look at like a King James. It's the first time you ever see the word Gentiles.
Okay.
Right. So these people here are the quote unquote, I I won't say first Gentiles, but again, it's the first time you see the word Gentiles and notice that they do already have their own languages. This is how we know that this is, this is written much later on. This is redacted material. They're going back. This is kind of an etiology of where countries come from, right? So
Mhm.
you read about Kittim or Kittim is what Rome, right? Oh, you read about Ashkenaz, Ashkenaz or Ashkenaz, that's Turkish people. Um, right now, you can still find the city of Ashkenaz or Ashkenaz in Turkey right now. Um, I won't. We can get into that a little bit later, but
Yeah.
right.
Well, I mean, I did take some notes that the children of Gomer are necessarily the Germans,
Mhm,
right? And yeah, the Ashkenaz. So these would be the people from. Uh, they were originally considered Aryans,
mhm,
and they're from the by the Caucasus Mountains, like you said,
mhm.
Turkey, considered Europe,
Indo-Europe, yeah.
Indo-European, Eurasian, and then they ended up they fought against the Assyrians, right? They around the 7th century BCE they fought against the Assyrians. They got kicked out of everywhere they went,
Mhm,
and they end up coming down into Cappadocia. They got kicked out of Cappadocia, and then they showed up again in the Roman time.
mhm.
And then from there, they spread across the British Isles and into today what is known as Denmark, Ireland, Scotland, and so they're known as the Celtic tribe, like the Celtic people.
Oddly enough, there are two main division of what we know of as Jewish people, and one of them is Sephardic, and the
Mhm,
other is the Ashkenazi.
mhm.
Right? The Ashkenaz Jews, right?
Yeah.
And most of the Jews that you know of, or Jewish people, I should say, most Jewish people that you know of, would consider themselves Ashkenazi, and that comes from the same word Ashkenaz or
Yeah.
the Ashkenaz. Yeah.
Mhm. The crazy thing about it is that like I'm trying to figure out how. So I know from my study of the children of Gomer and how they ended up migrating into Ireland,
Mm.
right? My great great grandfather is Irish, so I'm wondering if that's how I got Ashkenazi into my DNA. It
Perhaps.
shows up on my
Does it say how
DNA.
many generations it goes? Like sometimes,
It's my
what site did you
my
use?
grandfather's father.
I'm saying, what site did you use to do your DNA test?
23andMe.
Does it say how many generations back the Ashkenazi is?
Well, it says that it came from a male in the 1700s.
Okay, yeah, that could. No, 1700 would be too far back for your grandfather's
My
grandfather.
grandfather's grandfather.
That'd be too far back.
Uh,
Your grandfather's born in the 1900s.
No, I said no. My grandfather's grandfather was Irish, so I said I was wondering if it came from his Irish side.
That's what I'm saying. But like, if your grandfather was born in the 1900s, you probably assume that your grandfather's
My grand-
grandfather was born in the 1800s, not the
Yeah, so it
1700s.
would have come from his grandfather. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is come from his side of the family.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, you,
yeah,
s- you
perhaps.
see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Since
Yeah,
he was Irish, like did it come from his side of the family?
yeah, good.
Yeah. Um. Okay, and so now we go to Ham.
Okay.
The Hamites, the sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. What is Put?
Put is like, well, some people call it punt. This would be really around the same area as Ethiopia. This has been like southeastern Africa, and it would have extended all the way out to like into kind of the Sahara. So imagine if this were Africa, right? If this is the West Horn, this is the South, right? And then so over here would be Egypt in this little corner. Then Punt would have been like right under Egypt, kind of in our modern day Ethiopia, but kind of spreading all the way out towards geez Louise, I can't think of the countries out there. Like Kenya, towards Chad and Kenya. Toward that more central, the north and central area would have been Punt or Put. According to Egyptian history, the people from Punt moved into Egypt and actually became great kings in Egypt. But this has been a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay. So you said modern day Ethiopia. So Cush would not be considered modern day Ethiopia.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. So we're kind of putting a bunch of times that together. So the people of Punt would have been actually before that, but Put would have been like south. Keep in mind these country lines hadn't always been the exact same. Okay. So when I say modern day Ethiopia, I don't mean it took up all of the landmass. It actually was a little south of what we would currently call Ethiopia, but it kind of blurred through Ethiopia out towards Kenya, out that way. So not the actual like as we have it on the map Ethiopia, but a part of that Ethiopia. So starting that far east and then going kind of under what we call Ethiopia into
Okay.
more Central Africa.
All right. The sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabata, Ramah, and Sebteka.
Hmm.
Septika. The sons of Ramah. So I guess like the way that it's breaking it down, it's showing like who would be like the patriarch of each one.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So the sons of Ramah are Sheba and Dedan. Cush was the father of Nimrod. Now I got a shitload of questions about that. But Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. Who wrote this? The clear centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh, and Shinar. From
Hmm.
that, from that land, he went to Assyria. Like why? But never mind. Where he built Nineveh,
Hmm.
Rehoboth, Ir, Kala, and Resen, which is between Nineveh and Kala, which is the great city. Egypt was the father of the Ludites, Enamites, Lehabites, Nephilites, Parthites, the Chalshonites, which is where the Philistines came from, and the Caphratites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn, of the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Ardavites, Zemarites, and the Hemanites. Later, the Canaanite clan scattered, and the borders of Canaan reached from Sidon toward Gerar as far as Gaza, and then towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Adamah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham by their clans and languages in their territories and nations. Um, okay, so Nimrod. Can we talk about Nimrod right quick?
Mhm.
Okay, first off, there is no archaeological evidence for a figure in history by the name of Nimrod.
Right.
Um, and so he's most likely a made up figure that symbolizes some type of message that the Hebrews are wanting uh, to send regarding the people of Cush. Because what I can understand is why they said Nimrod was the father of Cush, but he went and built Mesopotamian cities. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, I thought maybe the scribe accidentally thought of Kish. I mean, thought that when he saw Kish, he meant Cush. But when you think about it, Kish is a kingdom. I mean, a nation, and
Yeah.
then Cush is a people.
Yes.
So that doesn't make sense. But why? Like, what is the purpose of Nimrod?
Um, I'm trying to see how. Okay. First off, you make a great point that all of these cities that they're talking that Nimrod built, one, they were some of the biggest cities you're gonna run into,
Mhm.
right? And so Babylon and what were the cities? You named a bunch of Sodom and Gomorrah, and right, like all the things in the Shinar Plains and blah blah blah. Okay, keep in mind something that we talked about earlier. If there's one thing that the Israelites don't like in this book, it's big cities.
Mhm.
They don't like them. They don't like them. So this is kind of an etiology to say, hey, here's why we don't like these cities. Oddly enough, in reality, the Israelite people are just a Canaanite people. Like they're just a Canaanite people. There's no record of them having this huge exodus. They are just some people who live in Canaan who are kind of carving out for themselves a separation. We are not like them, or they not like us. One time for Kendrick, right? But this is kind of to give a devil, in other words, right? Like it's
Yeah.
his fault, right?
And it's interesting that their devil is connected to Cush.
Mhm.
Like, I find that interesting. Like, their word for evil is Ra,
Right. Yeah.
connected to Egypt.
Mhm.
They in today's time, the city Kalna, or I mean Kala, is named Nimrod
Mhm.
for to rebel.
Mhm.
So like I just find it very interesting. Like, when this is why I get so frustrated when black people say that they are the Israelites, because there's just a lot of symbolism in here that ties to the people of Africa as being the dark, the
Mhm.
devil, the demon, or the rebellious one of God.
And remember, keep in mind, you're in Canaan. Canaan. You're under Egyptian vassalage, right? Canaan was under. By the time most of this stuff these ideas really start percolating, Canaan is an Egyptian vassal, right?
Mhm.
So they're paying tribute to these Africans. That right. This is they have this story about being enslaved and under the oppression of these Africans, right? Okay. So this whole idea it's in rebellion to it's basically a polemic against those who have power over them. And you read this again, this is what happens in the Samson story. This is why there's a woe to the king of Babylon, right? Right.
Mhm.
So anytime that they were under anybody else's rule, they would basically write a polemics against them and say, hey, these guys are the bad guys,
Yeah.
right? And it begins even as far back as this, right? So, hey, these guys are the bad guys. So much that the Palestinians, again, who are just a Canaanite people, that like when they were under Palestinian rule, that's when Samson came about. These guys are the bad guys, right?
Mhm.
So they do the same thing to the Greeks. Okay, so this is kind of an etiology as to why we see them as the bad guys. Why are they the bad guys? Right? They look
But
a little
like
different from us.
the crazy thing is, like, so in the biblical, in the Bible, the Philistines, when they were calling the Philistines the bad guys, right? Um this genealogy is saying that the Philistines came from Egypt.
This particular genealogy is, yes.
Yeah.
But in reality, they're just Canaanite people, right?
Mhm.
Again, they're trying to other them, to put them in the group of the bad guys, right? But The people of Philistine or Palestine, they're just a Canaanite people. They've been in Canaan for thousands of years. They're just Canaanites,
Yeah.
right?
I agree. I guess I'm just trying to like. I guess I'm still thinking about the fact of how they're trying to demonize the people of Africa,
Hmm.
and you're just wondering like if when the stories about the Philistines in the Bible, if they are about people in Africa and not necessarily people who had migrated down into Canaan and just become citizens of Canaan.
Well, actual Philistines are just Canaanite people. They're just people who are from Canaan, right?
No, I get what you're saying in actuality.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the text because it
Yeah,
says Egypt
they're
was the
making them bad guys. They're lumping them all together in the bad guy category. But in
yeah.
reality, they're just people who live there.
No, yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. What I'm saying is like what their symbolism is, right? Like putting them with Egypt because it says
Yeah, they're making them the bad guys. That's what I'm saying. They're lumping them over there with the bad guys.
no, yeah, I get that. What I'm asking, like in the Bible, when they're saying, "Oh, the Philistines are over us," right?
Yeah.
Is it? Should we be thinking about Egyptians when we're reading? They're going back and forth with the Philistines because normally when I read that, I normally just think about Palestinians. You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
are you saying are they actually Egyptians doing the ruling there and they're just calling them Palestinians?
No, like because it says Egypt was the father of the Ludites, the Anamites, the Lehabites, the Nephthalites, the Parthites, the Calshite, the Chalcites,
Okay.
who the Philistines came from.
Uh-huh.
Right. So it explicitly says the Philistines came from Egypt.
Hmm.
Right. So what I'm saying is I understand what it is in actual history.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the symbolism in this genealogy with them creating Nimrod
Hmm.
and saying that Nimrod came from the Cushites,
Hmm.
right? They connect Nimrod to their arch nemesis Babylon,
Hmm.
right? In Assyria. And then the Philistines are connected to Egypt. So I'm saying, like, when I read in the Bible about their war with the Philistines, should I be thinking, should I be picturing Egyptians um, and not necessarily uh, people from Lebanon? Because I think I thought the Philistines were West Asian, like Semitic West Asian. You see what I'm saying? In
They
the
are.
text,
They
in
are.
actual history, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm
I'm saying
saying
I'm
in the
saying that
book,
the symbolism here is that they're in the text, they're just talking about plain old Palestinians. They're just talking about Palestinians. The symbolism here is that they're putting them in with the people who ruled over them. Right. If you notice all these places that are listed in here, eventually, until you get to the Ketim, until you get to the Romans, but basically all the people who would rule over Israel come out of these group of people right here.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
So they're lumping all the bad guys together, and they're
Hmm.
saying, "Oh, they're related." Right. But in actuality, they aren't. But they're saying, "Hey, they're all related." Right. Just like the Egyptians give birth to the Palestinians, and the Cushites gave birth to these people. But all of the people who are evil, they're all related. These are the bad guys, but they're not actually. I mean, technically they're related, but right, they're just these are the bad guys. But
Yeah.
in the text that you're reading, they're just talking about people from Gaza, people from Ashkelon.
But the people that's over there today are not necessarily the same people.
No, people change, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
but
I
it,
guess what I was trying to say, what I was trying to picture, like as far as phenotype wise, right? Not necessarily their nationality, but phenotype wise, should I be like when I read the story, I like to imagine things, like right, like I create like a movie in my head.
okay.
So like when I read about the Philistines, I was picturing people that are in Gaza today.
Mm,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
But with reading this, it seems like in those times when they were writing about the Philistines, they were writing about people from Egypt.
Well, people who descended from Egypt. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah. But I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if they looked Egyptian. But, the Well, I mean, I mean, imagine that how to be living in
This would
Hitler.
have been before the Greek came in, right?
This would have been, well, we need to
Well,
figure
I
out
mean,
when
I
this
know
is
it
at.
was written after the Babylonian exile, so
Yeah,
this was written after the Babylonian exile. So maybe they were still like we don't know.
yeah.
That's what I was trying to see. Like because they put him with Egypt, is this in correlation with what seems like they have an issue with the people from Africa, with the people from Egypt, from Cush?
Yes, and then eventually, yeah, yeah, and in most of their stuff in the Old Testament, these are the lands that they're gonna get into it with the most. And then by the time you get over to the New Testament, then you're dealing with just Romans and Greeks, which are the Gentiles from up north.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I just think it's interesting that they created this Nimrod character, connected them to Cush, connected them to all of their
and
enemies. And
yes,
right, yeah. So I think it's definitely symbolism for something. Um, that's what I think.
yeah.
Okay. So then the Semites.
Well, I want to say one more thing. These kinds of ideas are the kinds of ideas that give way later on to why it's okay to come back to Canaan
Mhm.
and start annihilating enemies, right? Because these enemies, like the Girgazites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, this is the list of people, basically,
Mhm.
when you get over into Leviticus that says, oh, you must utterly destroy them.
Yeah, that yeah, I know. And then thinking about how it was used in North America, right? Um just connecting the two, right? We know how
Yeah.
it was used in North America against West Africa, just against people who were phenotypically African,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Just seeing if that is any symbolism
Oh, it
there.
could.
Huh?
Yeah, it could definitely be. I was just saying that specifically that list, so that when we read over later on in text and you see that same list of people, right? Even though in actuality, like in reality, these are just people who lived in the land of Canaan. Had it been in the land of Canaan, these would be, your close neighbors, right?
Right. Mhm.
You're probably very genetically related to them, to those people, very closely genetically related to those people.
Yeah.
But this list sets up an othering of them. Oh no, we're not from there. Those are different people, right? So that when God starts to say, hey, this is how you handle the Girgazites and the Hivites and the Hittites and the da 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 da, right? There's a backdrop that says, okay, yeah, those aren't my people, right? Those are different, completely different people. They're from a completely different person, right?
Mhm.
And you'll see that later on in the text. I mean, yes, this is the same idea. Although in this list of folk, if you go through all of the list of names there, you still don't run into any West African folk.
Right.
Strangely,
No.
but
No, that's why I said symbolism.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so, but just in that, what I'm saying right now is not necessarily related to what you're saying. I know we talk about symbolism. I'm just saying literally this group of cities that you see named here, although in reality they are very closely related. These are just Canaanite people. In the text they try to other them and put them in with the Hamites. They're
Mhm.
just as Hamite as any, right? If they're Hamites, then they're Shemitic people, right? Like, but in this list of people, they separate them so as to give reason to overtake them later. That's all I'm getting at with that.
Okay. Um, which is interesting, right? Because like, I get what you're saying. It's interesting that they put them with Egypt and Cush so
Yes,
that they could have reason to,
yes,
you know.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise, you can't explain why you from Canaan, you come back to Canaan, you born and raised in Canaan, right? Well, technically, you're saying you're from Chaldea because Abraham was from Chaldea, but these people born and raised in Canaan, lived in Canaan, go to Egypt, they come back to Canaan where they from, right? And then all of a sudden, it's fuck Canaan. And it's like what? What? You guys are from Canaan. You guys are Canaanites, right?
Yeah.
But this list helps to separate them from the Canaanites,
Mhm.
right? But they are just Canaanites. Like Israelites are Canaanites
Yeah.
in
Well,
reality.
yeah, they're right now. They are now trying to say that they are Canaanites. They used to deny that, right? And so now they're trying um to prove that they are originally Canaanites, but they used to deny it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But if they're, the Israelite people of ancient time are a Canaanite people.
Yeah.
Like they were born and raised in Canaan. They blah blah blah. They attached themselves to her. Although we have no record of any. Well, I mean, we don't have any record of Abraham. Period.
Well,
But
what? So they you do have the ones that migrated down into Canaan, right?
who migrated into Canaan? When?
The Aryans.
Oh, those are Aryans. I'm talking about the ancient Israelite people, the people that are written up as the Shashu people, the the original quote unquote Israelites. They're just the Canaanite group of people. Of course, they get mixed up with people get mixed, but the original people of this area are just the Canaanite people. They just became known as Israel, but they're just the Canaanite people. They're born and raised in Canaan.
So then, how did they get to Iraq? How did they get to
Iraq is in Canaan. All that's Canaan. All that's Canaan. That whole area is Canaan.
Mesopotamia is Canaan?
Mesopotamia,
Like, all of that,
around
Babylon,
the
all of that.
Mesopotamia, Mesopotamia, to the east of
Babylon
that.
is Canaan?
North Babylon. By the time you get up to Turkey, you're not in Canaan anymore. Or by the time you get up like to Syria and all that. But let me see if I can show you a map. Hold on. All right. So I can show you. You're not gonna be able to see this, are you? Hell no. Just find a map of Canaan. You'll see that Canaan starts pretty much in the Arabian Peninsula. Right. So Canaan is going to be all of that. Canaan is a massive land. All right.
Let's see. So Mesopotamia, a map of. Let's see if I can find one that's good. World History Encyclopedia. Okay, let's see if I can share my screen here. And then okay. All right, so we have Canaan here, right?
Yes.
Okay. This would be Assyria, Babylonia.
Right. So you see all of that land that's considered Canaan, right? All these people that from that tip down, all that's considered Canaan. You get what I'm saying?
From this, right?
The
The
yellow
Egypt,
part, right?
Memphis, all of that. But where is Babylon?
Babylon is up north of that. Yeah, Babylon's north of that.
Where?
Babylon's going to be in the Iraq portion. So Iraq is like, well, I can't point to the thing on the screen. So in that like yellowish, the dingy or yellow part, Babylon's going to be up there.
Like up here?
Let me find one.
Are you talking about up there?
I can't see what you're pointing to. It's too small for me to see.
Is my screen not sharing?
It's sharing, but it's too small for me to see. I'm blind as hell.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm not looking at it on the computer. I'm on my phone, so it's like this big to me. I have to literally marry my eye to the screen to show it to you.
Let me see if I can find what is Kassite Babylonia? That's not. What is that?
I have no idea. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Give me just a second. Let me see. Let me see if I can find a different map. Lord, Egypt, Canaan, Dead Sea, Syria, Kingdom. Okay, here we go. Let's see this map right here. So I think I'm having a hard time seeing Iraq as Canaan. So, okay, all right, you see this map? Can you see this one? So here's Canaan and Palestine over here.
Over there.
Right. And then Babylon is over here.
Yes, but okay, so Babylon is in what we would currently call our current day Iraq, right?
Hmm.
But you see that line of Canaan goes into what we would call Iraq right now. Our current lines of Iraq.
Where? Because I see this is Canaan.
Iraq is right in the middle of your screen, basically, right? Like this area right there, that's basically in the center of your screen. Uh, Try to overlay that
Right
with a
here,
map
this
of
right here.
Iraq. Just see where Iraq is.
You
Just
talking
so
about
you,
this? You talking about this right here would be Iraq? This area.
well, I can't see what you're pointing to.
Hold on. Let me see. The middle where it says Syria, um,
Here,
Assyrian kingdom, Mesopotamia,
in that,
Akkadian,
keep in
Babylon.
mind, this is this big to me. I can't see what you're pointing to. I don't see that. It's
I'm
like
not
this big.
pointing. I'm listing them out.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're looking at, I'm trying to figure out, see if I can find a decent map of this. Hold on one second. Let me just look up. I know what I do. All right, all right. Here. Okay. You're not gonna be able to see this either. Okay. But if you just go look at a map of just present day Iraq, like just find where present day Iraq is.
Yeah, I can see that, but
Okay.
it still to me doesn't look like it's close to Canaan though. That's why I'm saying I'm having a hard time seeing that they're the same.
Hear what I'm saying. You see what present day Iraq is, right?
Hmm.
That those have not always been the borders. First and foremost, Canaan is a catch-all term, right? It is just people in the southern Levant region. But
Hmm.
the southern Levant region stretches up through what we call current day Lebanon,
Hmm.
right? Up into what we call current day Syria, right?
Okay.
All of that's all still Canaan, right? And that's a catch-all term. Not Canaan isn't necessarily a place as much as it is an ethnic, like a group of ethnicities.
Okay.
Right. So there's like if you're looking for Canaan on a map, you're just looking at a bunch of people groups who live in a collective catch-all term called Canaan. Right.
Really?
You see
Okay.
the country of Canaan on there?
Yeah.
These are Google the word Canaanite.
Yeah. I okay.
Yeah, okay. Canaanites are just a catch-all term.
I mean, I do see a place on the map called Canaan,
Right.
Palestine, though.
Right. You'll
Um,
see a place called Palestine. I'm saying that the
no, it
Canaanite
says
people are just like,
Canaan, Palestine.
oh, well, that's in Palestine. Yeah, but Canaan the Canaanites or Canaan is a catch-all term. It's not like here is Canaan. This whole region is called Canaan.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. This is my first time hearing that because in any map that I've seen, like even the one I'm looking at now, says Canaan, Palestine. Right? I've not. This is my first time hearing that Canaanite included Babylon.
Oh no, Canaan doesn't include Babylon. Babylon is separate. I'm saying that the Canaanite people, the groups of people that we collectively call Canaanites, are a massive group of people. They're not just the people who are from this one place. This whole
No,
region
I
of
get
people are
the
called Canaanites.
term. I understand what the term Canaanite means. It's people who lived in Canaan, right? I get that.
Or in the
But
region of Canaan.
right, but I'm saying if Abraham and his family is from if they're from Mesopotamia, how are they originally from the region of
What
Canaan?
what I'm saying is that they are not from Earth at all. That's the narrative. They are Canaanite people. They were born and raised in Canaan. They never migrated. They are born and raised in Canaan. They are a Canaanite people trying to separate themselves. They are just a Canaanite people. They've always been in Canaan. They've never been in Earth. Yeah, this is their narrative that he started in Babylon and came. There is no record of that migration anywhere.
Right, but there's no record of Abraham ever
That's what I'm saying.
existing.
That's what I'm
Period.
saying. So that's pure narrative. They are not from Iraq. They are Canaanite people. They are born and raised. They've always been in Canaan. They were never in Babylon. There's no record of that at all. These are a Canaanite people.
So
But
there
the
is
narrative
like, are
says
you saying there's no record of them in Babylon before the exile?
before the exile. Yes, I'm saying
Okay.
that yes, that prior to the exile, they were not in Babylon. And this is their kind of origin story. They are not a Babylonian people who moved down into Canaan. They are a Canaanite people who have
Mhm.
always been in Canaan.
Okay, I get what you're saying now. You're saying that the narrative You don't agree with the narrative in the Bible that Abraham is from Ur. That's
Right.
what you're saying now.
Right.
Okay, I didn't understand that that's what you were saying. I don't necessarily subscribe to that because I don't believe Abraham was an actual person.
He wasn't.
Yeah,
He
but
wasn't.
going according to the Bible, Abraham would have come from Ur.
Chaldea.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
would have. Yeah, so they would have migrated down into Canaan,
Yeah.
according to the Bible. Right.
According to the narrative. But they are. But
Yeah.
in reality, these are just a Canaanite group of people who have always been in Canaan.
Mhm.
Right. They've just always been in Canaan. Right. They make the story. Oh no, our great grandfather's from Ur and he came down here. But that's just, well, let's say it this way. Even if that were true, that would just be one man from Canaan. I mean, one man from Ur, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
The people group that they became was born and raised in Canaan. So even if Abraham was a nomadic man from Babylon or Chaldea, right? If that, even if that's true, that one man came down. The people group that we know of as Israel was
Mhm.
born and raised in Canaan.
Yeah,
The,
like it says that in the book, right? Like it says that when he came to down into Canaan and lived there,
Mhm.
when he left with people of Canaanite descent,
Yeah,
right? It says like you can kind of gauge that he kind of put these group of people together and they're not necessarily related by blood. From where it says that he came down into Canaan, he lived there, married a Canaanite woman, right? Had
yeah,
children in there. And then when he left, he took people who originally were from the land of Canaan with him.
right.
Right. Yeah.
So
So you
the
kind of gauge
people
that
group
anyway.
is Canaanite, right?
Mhm.
Even in the narrative, the people group. I'm saying, yeah. I think I'll leave it at that. The people group we know of as Israel are Canaanite people. They aren't from Babylon. They're
Yeah.
just
No, I
Canaanite.
get what you're saying now. I thought, yeah, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Okay. The Semites. Sons were also born to Shem, whose older brother was Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshach.
Mhm.
Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. The two sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, because in his time the earth was divided. His brother was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Sheleph, Azarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Azal, Dilka, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. The region where they lived stretched from Misha towards Zafar and the eastern hill country. These are the sons of Shem by their clans and languages and their territories and nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons according to their lines of descent within their nations. From these, the nations spread out over the earth after the flood. Um, okay, and then so Eber is important to modern day Hebrews because that's where the name Hebrew came from.
Hmm.
Um, I believe Abraham's name derives from the root word Eber.
I've heard this.
Mhm. And then it means to cross over or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's why Eber is important to the Hebrews.
Yeah, Eber is for whom all the Hebrews, and technically all of these children, and unto Eber were born two sons. Anybody after that is technically an Eberite or a Hebrew,
Mhm.
right? So all of these kids, Joktan's kids, Peleg's kids, these are all technically Hebrew people,
Mm.
right? And if you see it, even if you see what those names like Hivala, and you can still find Hivala, and it's still in Canaan, right? Which is why I keep saying it. This is still in Canaan. But the idea here is you're separating this group of people that live in Canaan. You're separating them up by these certain tribes, and you don't even really run into a lot of them. Like you don't really see what happened to Obai or Sheba, or you're right. You don't really hear these names very often after this, right? Well, that's because again, this is just kind of an etiology to kind of let you know, okay, this is how we see the world, right? And these are our kinfolk, right? Or blase, blase, blah. You also don't see. Wait a minute, somebody else specifically finna say you don't see Edom, right? You don't see Edom,
Mm-hmm.
and right, and Edom is so important, but Edomites would be a Hebrew people if this story is correct, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Doesn't it say though in the Bible? It calls them. It says that they are their brothers.
yeah,
It
they
says
call them
that.
brothers. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Even though it says that God,
hates
because
them.
they came from Esau, right?
Yep,
Even though God didn't like them, there are times in the Bible where God tells them that these are your brothers, right?
yep,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Right. So that they would be a Hebrew people, right? These are people who were born of that lineage, right? It's again, this is more like an etiology to show you how they see these people, plotted around the world. Not necessarily, I mean, definitely not the way people actually exist, right? This is more like, okay, here's how we block them off, and those people not like us, right? These people closer to us, but still not us, right? Those people up there definitely not like us, right? So when you hear about how you deal with your close relatives or the lands closest to you, and then the lands are far off, right? So you're starting to get this little setup here to kind of explain, okay, which lands are close to us, which lands are we considering far off, right? And this table of nation kind of gives you a little basic glance overview of it, I guess.
And I think, okay, so when discussing the promises that Noah gave to his sons,
Mm.
so Shem got the so-called greatest blessing. Japheth is said to prophesy to share in Shem's blessing, and then Ham got the curse, right?
Right.
Um,
Well, Canaan specifically got the curse,
right,
which,
but
which
his
is so
son
crazy. Like,
Ham,
it's called a curse of Ham, but he really didn't even say anything to Ham. He literally said, "Curse be Canaan."
yeah, but I'm saying like still like his son when we're talking about the three sons, right?
Yeah.
So Shem, this is kind of how I'm trying to like figure out. So we know that Sham's lineage Japheth's lineage would be the Europeans.
Basically Europeans. Yeah.
Shem would be the Semitic people, the West Asian, West and Central Asia, Iraq, like up that way.
Kind of, unless you're counting Babylon, right? And then
According to the
technically,
Bible, I know what you're saying, like as far as the Canaanites. I'm talking according to the Bible,
you know what I'm saying. But
right?
but if you're counting Babylon as a part of Western Asia,
West and
right?
Central Asia.
Western Central Asia, right? If we
Yeah.
right, then Babylon would be Ham, right? Because it's Nimrod that founded Babylon.
Yeah, but we know Nimrod. Like Nimrod is from Cush, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I'm saying if we're counting Babylonians as West Central Asians, you get what I'm saying? Like, or unless we're not, we're saying, well, Babylon isn't Western Central Asia.
Babylon is up. So I don't know. Now I'm confused, Bash. I don't know. Like I'm not. So Nimrod is they're saying Nimrod is the father of Cush. Like Nimrod would be from Ham,
He's from Ham, yes.
even though they're saying that he created all of the Mesopotamian cities.
Right. He created all the Mesopotamian cities. And the Mesopotamian cities are West Asia.
I know, but
Yeah.
that's where Shem's line comes from, though, right? That's where the people of Shem in this Bible they come from that area, right? In the Bible.
Yes. Okay, okay.
This is
Yes.
why I say that I think the story of Nimrod is more symbolic than anything, and because Nimrod never existed,
Right.
right?
Right.
We know that Babylon actually existed,
Babylon did actually exist.
right? We know who created a lot of the cities of Babylon,
Yes.
right? and it wasn't Nimrod. That's why I
Wasn't
said
Nimrod.
Ni- the Nimrod kind of confuses things because he's a literary device, I think.
Yes.
Um, and so w- just right now, I'm not even thinking about Nimrod when I'm talking about the three sons.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I get what you're saying. Okay. So you're saying that Babylon is are you calling them Shemites?
Well, that's where Abraham would have come from, up that way
Okay. Okay.
originally, and
Okay.
according to the text,
Okay. Okay.
right? The Bible says the children of Shem are Semites.
Yes, but I'm saying okay. In as much as Nimrod is a literary device, so is Abraham. They're
Right.
both literary devices, right?
Right.
So if we're trying to actually nail them to a map, it gets weird because they're both literary devices,
Right.
right?
But I'm going by the three sons. Nimrod is
Yes,
not one of the three sons.
true. But if Abraham is from the area, keep in mind this is how they divided out into the world, right? So this is basically saying from this point at Mount Ararat, the people went and settled in these places, right? Well, if Nimrod was the person that built up that area, built up these places in the Chaldees and in Babylon, right? That area, and Abraham comes from that area, then Abraham,
It wouldn't mean that the just because Nimrod built those places up that everybody in those places are Cushites or look like Nimrod.
well, true. I mean, I guess that's true of any of these nation states. But this is what I'm saying. Like any of these places, it doesn't necessarily mean just because like Kittim it was wrong that everybody who lived in Kittim was from
But
the man named Kittim.
yeah, I know the Hebrew Israelites hold on to Nimrod and Nimrod needs to be like a real person.
Yes,
Yeah, for the Hebrew Israelites and their doctrine and their ideology.
and so does
Uh,
Abraham. Abraham has to be real.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not that's not what I'm talking about right now. What I'm saying is just as far as what they claim to be today would be Japheth would be the Europeans,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Shem would be the Semitic people, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then Ham would be the children of Africa or 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 black people. According
Specifically.
to
Yeah.
Noah's the Noah blessings or curses on his sons, the original promise was to Shem. And then Japheth was said to uh, uh, participate or enjoy in Shem's promise. And then Ham was said to serve Shem,
Yeah.
right? Um, Thinking about how the Europeans kind of usurped the Jewish identity, like they, uh, when they said like the people changed, like in the Bible where it talks about how it says, "I know that the people that are there today are not the real ones." It makes me think, like this is just a question that I have. When it says that JPath will participate or enjoy or share in Sham's promise,
Mhm.
if that is representative of the Indo-Eurasian people claiming to be the children of Japheth
Gonna be the
fighting with
children.
Shem over
Okay.
this promise. You see what I'm saying? That's what I was
When
trying to get to.
when you say Indo-Eurasian, you mean like what group of people are we
Well,
talking?
we talked about earlier the children of Japheth coming from up the Turkish mountain, the
Oh, the
Caucasus
Caucasus.
Mountain, Turkey,
Okay.
the European, like the French, the Dutch, the Scots, um, what we talked, the children of Gomer, the Germans,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
so they're claiming to be the children of Japheth, right? Today, they claim to be the children of Gomer, right? A descendant of Japheth.
The
So
Jewish people are saying that they are Gomer. Are you saying Germans are saying they are
Germans
Gomer?
are saying that they are Gomer.
Oh,
They
I didn't know that to be. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to kind of think out. Um, so never mind. I'll think it. I'll think it through. It's just a thought. I'll think you through.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just so I know where to start looking. Are we saying that Germany right now is claiming that they are the children of Gomer?
Germans.
Germans, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. So Genesis 11, with the Tower of Babel.
Uh,
It says, now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city with the tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth as they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. From Shem to Abraham, this is the account of Shem's family line. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. And after he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. That's another thing that I learned when I was studying the children of Gomer. Gomer is the only one that Gomer lived the longest in the Bible. He lived 1,000 years, and I think he was the oldest one in the Torah. Um, and so that's one thing that they talk about too, is that Gomer lived 1,000 years. Um, lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived for 103 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived for 130 years and he had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Ru. And after he became the father of Ru, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Ru had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. And after he became the father of Serug, Ru lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Naor. And after he became the father of Naor, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Naor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Naor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah had lived 70 years, he became a Terah. He lived 70 years and became the father of Abram, Naor, and Haran. This is the account of Terah's family line. Terah became the father of Abram, Naor, and Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans in the land of his birth. Abraham and Noah both married. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarah, and the name of Naor's wife was Milcah, and she was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarah was childless because she was not able to conceive. Terah took his son Abraham, his grandson Lot of Haran, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarah, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur to the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years and he died in Terah.
oh, you know what I meant to mention in that last chapter?
What's that?
That part where it says, in Peleg and Yoktan's day, the earth was divided.
Mm-hmm. You want to go back?
And no, I won't have to go back, but it just said the earth was divided. In his days, the earth was divided. In Peleg's day, the earth was divided. And I was I was trying to figure out if they meant like the people were divided, or is that when the land mass is split up? And guess what I found? That
What?
the people use that both ways, and so I don't know exactly which way that was meant. That if this was a representation of actual physical Earth being split, or if they were saying, oh,
This is
the
when the
people,
Tower of Babel happened.
yeah, yeah, and people
Okay.
look at it both ways. I really don't know any more about that, but there is. I put if I did put it, I'll make sure that I put it in a day. I put article about whether or not they meant that this how the land masses came to be, or if they meant that this is just like when people split, and there's reason to believe both.
I think it's just all symbolism, right? Because Peleg means division,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
I think a lot of this is just symbolism. For um, we know that the Tower of Babel is a story that somebody created to explain, like their explanation of
why people have different
why.
language.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of these people existed. I think their names just represent ideas.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
going to go as far as to say that none of them existed, but
Yeah.
just that the but the question was if this is symbolism for the actual land masses dividing, or if it's just symbolism for this is when the people were divided, and there are scholars who line up on both sides of this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, some people
And
say
then
that
the
this is
Gog and Magog. I wanted to ask about that too before we go. Like I forgot whose son they're from
they're from
Japheth, I
Gomer,
think.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
from Gomer.
yeah.
So is that the same Gog and Magog that everybody's waiting to like wake up from these two
I've
demons?
I've heard two sides of the story. Dr. McClellan says it is not. He definitely says it's not. But I've heard other scholars say that it is. But Dr. McClellan says that's not the same Gog and Magog. That's a completely different group of people. Blah 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 blah. They don't line up.
Okay.
But I've heard people say that it is.
Okay. That's what I was wondering with that one too. Okay, so we can go to chapter 11. Um Yeah, so I guess the Tower of Babel just explains that God is the reason why Noah's sons don't get along. That's all I can think. Out of jealousy. But like if we look at this from the perspective of a believer, right,
Okay.
and not knowing that this was a what would you call this
Etiology.
in etiology? And can you describe for us, like in detail, what's the difference between, um, like what exactly is an etiology?
An etiology is a story that kind of tells you why things are the way they are. So if your kids ever ask you, Mom, why do rainbows exist? And you go, oh, I'll tell you a story. One time God was mad at the world and da 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 da. That's an etiology, right? Or I can't talk to you. That's why I don't even. I'm just saying this is what it is. You know, or like right, like so if your kids ever ask you, there's actually a story that talks about it's in I want to say it's in Exodus where they say, hey, when you get to this land, erect a stone so that when your children ask what happened this day, you can point to the stone, right?
Okay.
That's basically an etiology. It's like a mythological story that explains why things are the way they are now,
Okay.
right? So
And a
it
polemic is what?
is when you write something, when you write or speak against something that somebody else. So if you were to do a news story about me and say Sebastian be having boogers in his nose, and you like, damn, dog, what I do? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a polemic because you want to cast dispersion on either my character or my actions.
Okay.
So yeah, so you'll write a polemic against something. Like when you read, "Oh foolish vain man." Okay, this is a polemic against somebody.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, so it's a story or a speech or writing that condemns a person for their character or their actions.
Okay. And so would you consider the story about Adam and Eve in etiology or
It's
in
an
theology?
etiology.
It's
Yes.
an
So
etiology. Okay.
yeah. So it's telling you why do women hurt? Why don't women like snakes? Why does it hurt when they have kids? Why do daddy have to go to work in the morning? Right? Why are we bad? Right? In other words, why are things the way that they are
Okay.
currently? So we
Okay.
get this story. Yeah.
All right. And so we'll look at it from two different perspectives, I guess.
Yeah.
One from the perspective of a believer who believes that the Tower of Babel actually happened first. Let's look at it from their perspective first.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes it's hard. You know what's so crazy?
what?
I used to be a believer and I believed that the Tower of Babel happened. And now I look back at that thought and I think, why the fuck did I think that? Like, what made me think that all of a sudden that somebody just forgot the word they said 1 minute ago and now they don't understand the words you're saying?
Or that anybody could build a tower to heaven where God is.
Right,
And the crazy thing is, like, the story doesn't necessarily say that God was mad that they were trying to reach him, right?
right, right.
The story literally says that God did not want the people to realize their potential, and
Oh, wait,
working as
I do need
one.
to say one more thing. This is a polemic and an etiology. I forgot to say that. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you want to read it? Because this might take some time. You want to put this one off the next week? Because this one might take, because it is part of polemic. It's part polemic against the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? Where Gilgamesh left this big city, went out into the country, and realized there's no place like home. Let me come back to the city.
And I
This
think
is
it's interesting though because Gilgamesh is credited with building a lot of Mesopotamia,
yes,
right?
yes,
Um, yeah. So
yes. So a part of it is this polemic against that. Like, no, things ought be simple. We ought be split up this way. Quit trying to put everybody in the same city. Again, if there's one thing Hebrew people don't like, pork chops in big cities,
mm,
right? Don't feed them pork chops. They don't like that, and they don't like big cities, right? They think that big cities is where the sorcery happens. That's where the evil is in the world, and God don't like that. Y'all over there doing magic in the big cities, and God don't like that. And y'all used to be even more together, and y'all was gonna build a tower straight to God, so God had to split you up, right? Because God don't like that, right? You guys are doing sorcery over there. And so that this is kind of like a polemic against big cities, and throughout the rest of the Old Testament, you'll hear tons of polemics against big cities. Woe unto you, Babylon! Woe unto you, Egypt! Woe unto you, Damascus! Woe unto you, whatever big city, New York City, right? Like even so much as to like going back to my Hebrew Israelite friends, they think they declare America is Babylon, America is Egypt, right? Woe unto the big city, right? So it's part that, but it's also an etiology as to why do people speak different languages, right? Though they live really close to each other, why do they speak different tongues? Why don't we
yeah.
speak what they speak? Say the way, yeah,
Mm. And that's represented with the line, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches the heavens." And I think a lot of believers don't necessarily focus on the fact that they are in the story. The people are building a city and a tower, right? And so they only focus on the fact, oh, they tried to build a tower to the heavens. I don't think it had anything to do with that tower. It was don't let the people be as one,
don't let them
because
be
if
as
they
one,
do, then they can build big cities, right?
right? They build
They
these big
won't need a
cities,
god.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
They
think
don't,
that's necessarily what what it is.
yeah, and like oddly enough, religion falls in a spectrum of places with people. Some cultures are like theocracies, right? Where, God is the center of all things. In bigger cities, like I kind of, in my head, it's kind of laid out like this. If you go to the country, right, to Roanoke, Alabama, right? It's a little city. I can't remember the name of it. It's this little small city where I'm from. I forget the name of it now. Oh, Lochapoka, that's what it is. Lochapoka, Alabama, right? You can imagine that the people there don't have a lot to do. Church is their central place that they get together, right? They are very God focused. When you go to a bigger city, Chicago or New York, people might go to church. They might still believe in a God, but it's not the focus of their life, right? They church is more of like a weekend social club than it is like a way of life, right? In the smaller cities, it can be very, very God centric, and so the Hebrew people thought that the
Well,
rest
they
of
were a
the
small
world,
city. I think
yeah,
they were jealous. A
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
the big cities. They wanted what the big cities had, and they kept saying their God was going to get it for them.
and they just
Uh,
never got it.
yeah, and they never got it. So I think they coveted a lot of the wealth, the fame, the gods that a lot of these larger cities had. So they mimicked a lot of um, their own establishment
Hmm.
of their kingdom after these large cities.
Yep,
They were jealous. I'm sorry, but they were jealous. The God's name is jealous. They were jealous of these other nations around them,
yep.
right? And like if I had to just picture like this as a movie or a book, one big book that we're reading with one author, it was some guy who was jealous that he didn't have what other people had, and he
Hmm.
just started writing about that, and he created his own God that gave him all of these things in his head.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, you ever heard the story of Jakub who built white people? You ever heard this story?
Uh-uh.
That he was
No.
genetically spicing human beings and he made white people, which is again is an etiology as to where white people come from and a polemic against white people, right? To say something negative about them. First and foremost, you have to be you have gone down a rabbit hole. If you ever run into the story of Yakub, you are too far down the rabbit hole. Turn around.
Now we do have somebody in our community named Jakob.
Yeah, but
If Jakob, when you watch this, we are not talking
we're
about.
not talking about you, Yakub. Yeah, we're talking about the evil scientist Yakub, right? Yeah. Which is a polemic against Caucasian people or European people, and an etiology as to where they come from, right? And it's this idea of, oh yeah, see, the reason that the white man is running the world is because he was spliced together by Yakub, and that and we yeah, oh, God,
No,
if you run into Yakub.
I won't ever run into that because I don't look for stuff like that. So I won't run into
But
that.
maybe one day you gonna be online and you gonna run into a person who followed Dr. Malachi Z. York. Turn to your neighbor and say neighbor, and they gonna hit you with the Yakub story. Yeah, that's when you know. Oh, this motherfucker's lost. Turn around, run the other way.
Wow. That's some crazy uh ideology right there.
Yeah, yeah.
But so this is true made a good point. This would be at the time. I don't think necessarily at the time, but in Deuteronomy 32:8 and 9, where the Most High divided the nations, this would be the nations that the Most High divided amongst the gods, gave Israel to Yahweh, and then all the rest of the people in this genealogy in Genesis 10, right, went to other gods, and they became the heathens.
They became
So,
the
yeah. So you're absolutely correct. This is true. And then there was something else you said. Yeah, the tower was a ziggurat or a ziggurat. I don't know how to say it. Which is just a somewhat similar to a pyramid in ancient Samaria or Mesopotamia. The ziggurats were where the gods came down and lived amongst the people the people were able to commune with the gods. And in the Tower of Babel, it's interesting that it's switched. The gods are building a ziggurat to reach. I mean, the humans are building a ziggurat to reach the gods. So it flipped, and I think that's it. I think that's why some scholars who discuss this story from the lens of it being just a etiology that explains two things. One, how did people start speaking different languages, and why are
mm-hmm,
the people divided?
mm-hmm,
And then it explains that why the gods don't talk to the humans,
mm-hmm,
right? Because in Mesopotamia, the gods did. The gods, would come and visit the humans and live and dwell among the humans.
mm-hmm.
In Judaism and Christianity, the gods don't.
Well, kind of. Uh, Keep in mind, once you build a tabernacle, once the tabernacle gets built, the story is that God literally came and dwelled in it, right? That
Yeah,
that
but
was where He came to live.
only certain people could see Him.
Only so people could go in there
But
with Him, but He
yeah,
would come down. This is why it is an etiology and a polemic. right?
Yeah.
So you got these ideas, like you said, instead of gods coming down, they were going up to meet God.
Uh-huh.
So you basically flip the story inside out and say you got it wrong. That's not how it goes. It goes like this. But then you borrow from that polemic and you say, okay, your God meets us here. Right.
Mhm.
This is the place where God came to put his presence and his name and da 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 da. So going back to the whole jealousy idea, right? Right. You got these stories where people are like, yeah, man, God came down. They talked to us the other day, blah blah blah. You're like, nope. Flip that story inside out. God meets us here, right? And everybody can't talk to him, right?
Yeah.
And if he talked to everybody, he would have killed everybody. Go, i.e., the breakout at Bill Pure,
Yeah.
right?
But I
So,
think it also like explains so like in ancient Mesopotamia, in Assyria, their gods did talk to everybody could talk to their gods,
mm-hmm,
right? They had idols, right? They
mm-hmm,
create their statues.
mm-hmm,
But when you get to Israelite and Christianity, the God becomes mysterious.
mm-hmm,
You're not allowed to make an image of the God, right?
mm-hmm,
Um the relationship only certain people are allowed to commune with the God, and you have to have a prophet to or an interpreter to interpret certain messages from the God. So
yep,
I think I researched to see when this was written. It was written after the Babylonian exile, right? And so we know that after the Babylonian exile, this is when the inclusion of other people, other nations or foreigners were allowed to be included into the Jewish tradition, the Jewish religion.
mm-hmm,
They were being Hellenized, right?
mm-hmm,
Um, and then that's when the idea of you know God God only talking to one prophet became, oh, he can talk to everybody, but you just can't see him.
mm-hmm.
Talking to him becomes a feeling, right? So building the zikkrut up to the heavens, I think, was a Hellenized belief system, and that's why we kind of see it this way. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes perfect sense to me. Yep. Well, do
Yeah.
you want to actually read this chapter, or you want to wait to read? Because I feel like you
I just
finished.
read it though.
Oh,
I
did
already
we read
read
it
it.
up?
Yeah, I
Okay.
read all of it already.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't think there's much more to add to, like, the rest of it just talks about Shem, the most important line of God. And how long it just lists out the first sons of each line and how long that son lived, and before what age he was when he had his first child, and how long that son lived, and that's literally all it does, right? Like, there's nothing else. It talks about Abram's family and where they come from, like we talked about that a little bit already. Unless there's anything else you think that needs to be added to this.
Uh, no, that's cool. That's cool. I'm with you on that.
Are you
Yeah.
sure? Because I don't want to leave anything out, like when we move to chapter 12
No,
next.
I think I just forgot that we read it.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Literally, I just forgot that we read it. I was like, oh yeah, we read that already. Okay. I just looked back at it. That's in chapter 11. Yeah.
okay.
Um, and then we had just got to where Sarah was barren and had no kids. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, the Hebrew tradition. Well, there is a rabbinical tradition or explanation about Sarah and Abraham. The reason why they were not able to have kids is because they were tum tums.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and Isaiah 52 and 1 and 52 and 2, or 51 and 1 and 51 and 2, um they say explains it, says that that's when God made Abraham into a male, and then he had his son with Hagar because of Sarah was still not able to have children, and then because Sarah got jealous, then it says God came down himself and turned Sarah into a female, and then allowed her to have Isaac. But yeah, there is a rabbinical several in the Midrash
Mhm.
Talmud. There are several rabbinical texts that say that they were originally intersex beings, and that's why she was barren. That's why they couldn't have kids.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought was interesting too. Especially since they're the mother and father of the Christian religion.
One time for tum tums, man. Put one time for intersex people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree, and like you have people who don't understand that these type of individuals lived in ancient antiquity, and then it turns out that there are several beliefs in the Judaism that the father of their religion uh,
Was a tum tum.
was a tum tum. I think
One
that
time,
was really interesting.
that is
Huh?
interesting. One time, yeah, but that is interesting. Did
Yeah,
not know that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is really interesting.
Yep. But that's all I have. Unless you have anything about Sarah and Abraham or Terah or Torah or Haran. Wait,
No,
ain't one of these didn't one of these marry their sister? Is it Noah?
did Naomi marry his sister?
Wait, while his father Terah lived, Abraham and Noah both married. The names of Abraham's wife was Sarah, and the name of Noah's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran. He married his brother's daughter, Milcah. Noah, hold on. Terah became the father of Abraham. No, no, yeah, he married his niece.
His niece, yes.
Yeah, he married his niece.
Yeah.
And wasn't that like frowned upon?
It would be later on.
Oh, okay, not
Yeah.
before this.
Yeah, there's a law against it later on, but not here. Because they definitely still believed in marrying within the family. You know, that's one of the things they got mad at Samson about. Why don't you marry one of the girls from our family? Right. And he was
Mhm.
like, nah, I won't marry this Philistine woman. But there are your close relatives. I think you can't marry your uncle or your auntie. Yeah, yeah. So it is frowned upon later on.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting, like when you talk about like the Canaanites, the Israelites being Canaanite, like in real life, right?
Mm.
Um, I think it's interesting that Lot did live in Sodom. Uh, did he live in Sodom or Gomorrah? Which one?
I want to say Sodom.
Which would be Canaanite, which would be Canaan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it is interesting that Lot was, in Canaan. Uh, when God decided to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and even before Abraham was given this promise, or before the Israelites did their conquest, it seems like God wanted to kill them from the very beginning. Even before he gave the promise to them, like I mean, not the promise, before the Israelites came out of Egypt and he sent them down into Canaan to start the conquest. It
yeah,
seemed like God just wanted to kill them anyway, even before that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But keep in mind, he almost starved them earlier, right? Like,
Who, the
right.
Sodom and Gomorrah?
Well, I'm talking about Canaanites, right? Right. Remember, the whole reason that Israel moved into Egypt is because Canaan was starving,
Hmm.
right? That's the whole reason that all the brothers moved down in Egypt in the first place, because there was
Did God
because
did God create the famine? Did it say God
um,
created that famine?
no, I don't say that God created said famine, but
Oh, yeah, I ain't giving him credit. I ain't giving that God credit for nothing unless it says that he did it in him.
fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, I was just saying, like, I think it's interesting that he wanted to like take them out even before they. I agree with what you're saying. Like, he wanted to take them out from the very beginning.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and when I asked the question, how do you feel about being God's second pick? And when people say, "Oh, God loved everybody from the very beginning," no, He
No,
didn't.
he didn't. No,
You know
he
what I'm
didn't.
saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
All right. Well, that is the end of the show. Next week we will be at Genesis 12,
12.
which will be Abraham's promise.
Yeah. One time for the one time. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed this. This was fun.
Yeah. Same here. Same here. We'll put the links in the chat. And we'll see y'all next week.
Oh, wait. Before we go, you see that last comment that somebody been down the rabbit hole with the Nuwabians? That's the Yakub I was telling you about.
Oh,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
who are the New Orleans?
Malachi Z. York. Yeah. Malachi Z. York.
Oh, okay.
You know
Are they
who,
Pan African? Pan African?
and that kind of, yeah. You know who Brother Polite is? You ever heard
Mm-mm.
of Brother Polite? Oh, okay. Well, he's a Nuwabian. Yeah,
Okay.
Malachi Z. York. Oh, yeah. Anyway, if you ever run into that, if you ever hear that word again, Nuwabians or Malachi York or Yakub, run. Dun 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 dun. Run. Yeah.
Where did you used to read them? Like, were
No,
you?
no, no, no. I just run into a lot of people who was on that. Yeah.
Oh, is that the 5%?
No, 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 no. 5% is a
Oh,
different. Yeah,
Okay.
these are Nubians. These are
Okay.
Nubians. There's a lot of them in New York. Um, yeah, a lot of them in New York, and they follow this guy. This guy's teachings. Guy name was Malachi Z. York.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm not interested in that.
yeah. It's quite a up and down. It's a wild ride. But yeah, that just so you know that yeah, if you ever hear that, just turn it around.
All right. Definitely will do. Will do. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all next week. I'll see y'all on live late tonight, 11 p.m. Are you going live today?
I might do one. What time is it now? Yeah, I might do one around 3 my time. So about 4 hours from now. Oh, 3 hours from now. So 3.5 hours from now, I might do
Okay.
one. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'll see y'all in the TikTok streets.
All right.